This video is not going to be a lot of doing work on the car, so if you tune into my videos just to see work done, then this may not interest you. This is going to be about chasing parts for the cars. That's part of when you work on these old rides, you end up having to chase down parts. Well, as I've said in last videos, the drain plug on that stripped and it's kind of surface rusted. I could clean it up, and fix it, but why? It was a brand new one. With shipping and everything, that was under 50 bucks. It would be kind of crazy not to just, I would have had, a couple, 2-3 hours of work into fixing that, so it's worth it for the little bit. So we got a new oil pan on the old 352 here, and I also got some other new parts. Let me show you here. One of my loyal YouTube viewers, who turns out only lives a couple miles from me, has a Galaxie that he put adjustable rock arms on and totally rebuilt his engine, and he said these have less than 50 miles on them, and so he gave me these, which is really nice of Chris. Thank you very much for the parts for the Galaxie. Look at that. They're literally perfect. And so I got the rock arm shafts with the arms, all, like I say, all new stuff, because he went with the adjustable stuff, and he gave me his push rods too, which are all new. So we got all whole set of push rods. So that one that's worn out or whatever, we got a rod to replace it. So these being brand new, he said less than 50 miles. You can tell if you look at that ball. That thing, they're like brand new. So I might just put if the length is right, I might just put the whole set in. On Fords, you adjust the valve lash with the push rod length. It's not like GM or some of the Chevys where you just tighten the lock nut down. These, you gotta change these to adjust your valve lash. Well, I guess some of the Chryslers are like that too. But anyway, we got the push rods too. And he gave me a starter. And for all you number guys, there is a number on the starter. Anyone knows what that means? I don't think it has any numbers on the nose cone, but I do believe between the two starters I can make a good one. Well, you can see on this one where the Bendix had been rubbing on the ring gear, and that is because this starter is missing a little part up in there that keeps that armature. See, when I tip it, see how the armature, see how the armature comes out quite a bit further. That armature should stay in there, and that shouldn't drop out like that. That's allowing that drive to come out too far and hit the ring gear of the flywheel. And there's a little notch in the starter shaft right there, and usually a little clip goes, little like wire clip goes in there. So we'll I think between that starter and this starter, it'll save me from buying a starter. I can make one good starter out of the two. I have these starter drives, so I will put a new starter drive in it, because the issues with the ring gear on the original flywheel, and that's why I believe the car was parked. That's what I think why it was parked. I don't know that for sure. And another part he gave me was the fuel pump, because he went with fuel injection on his 352, so he no longer needed the you'd put an electric pump in the tank to run your fuel injection. So that is some of the parts I got today, some of them. One of the other parts I've been looking for is this little nipple for the water bypass on the intake manifold. That one's in pretty rough shape. The whole tip of it's pretty much all corroded away, and I just don't want to have issues. And that's pressed into the manifold, and it goes between the water pump here in there. So in these, if you put this together without the hose on, you're not going to get the hose in because there's just maybe a quarter or half inch maybe gap at the most between the two, the nipple between the pump and the intake. So I'm going to have to fix this. I stopped at the DNS Engines to see if they had one of these nipples, and he says they've been obsolete for a long time. He says all I could do is remove this and tap it and put a thread-in nipple. Well, the problem is then they stick out a little bit, and the nipple may hit the nipple for the water pump. So I don't want fiascos, and that's what happens when you start, you know, going with aftermarket and non-correct stuff. You end up with fiascos. So I managed to find two of these press-in nipples online. Hopefully they're right. But anyway, the guy at the engine shop said to shove a piece of steel rod in there. That's a 5/8 inch. But anyway, stuff, and just clamp it on and pull it out with a slide hammer or something. And so I'll horse with that when I get to it. It's no big deal. I got a press, so you know I can press it in if I need to. But I was able also to find a threaded barb in case if I can't get that press fit one in there properly, that you put in with an Allen wrench, so just the barb will be coming out and all the threads will be inside the manifold. I just have to tap it out with a pipe tap, and I'd rather just put in what's supposed to be there. So I ordered actually both. It was a package of two of these. They're new old stock Ford 352. I think it said 331, 352 Ford engines only, and on the package it was an old package. So I'll have a pair of these and newer thread in with a, that you can put a hex key in the center if those don't work. So that was a concern of mine. I don't want to put the car back together with that on there. It's just not gonna cut it. You know, I want to be able to have faith in the car, take it on long road trips and not worry about something popping out or popping off or going to hex. So that's why I decided that's going to get replaced. Another thing too is the heads he's got apart and machined and checked for cracks. There's no cracks, they're all in good shape. So he's getting a parts list together for the new valve seats, new valve springs, guide seals, all that stuff, so he can give me a total price on them finished up. And hopefully they'll be finished in the next couple weeks, because when it comes right down to it, this is going to go together quick. I was going to work on it today, other than today was my parts chasing day. I was going to put the cam and the crank in, and I didn't have Plastigauge, and I couldn't find my Plastigauge. And most auto parts stores nowadays, you know, because the trade of people doing it themselves and stuff is rapidly becoming a thing of the past. And so finding stuff to do this kind of work is getting to be hard. But I did find an old Napa store just around the corner from the engines place that's doing the heads that had Plastigauge. So this is what you use when you want to check your oil clearances. It's just like a little thin plastic in there, and that's the clearance it measures, and it gives you a little scale that you hold it up to here, how much it smushes out. So I want a Plastigauge, at least one main, a couple rods, just to see what they come out as. So that was one of my things I wanted to get today, because once I put the cam in, I can put the crank in and the timing chain and stuff like that on. Then I can start fitting the rings and putting pistons in, and you know, getting the block assembled. That'll the time consuming, next time, very time consuming part's going to be fitting all the rings in the bores, and then, you know, deciding if I'm going to use the new pistons or the old ones. I'm going to do some more. Let me get my micrometers and measure these ones and the new ones, and whichever ones are closer to the tolerances on the engine are going in the engine. New pistons aren't always, you know, I mean, they had, I guess, you know, Ford, when they built their motors, and they still do it today, the guy that I got these from worked at the Romeo engine plant, and he says that they would just have 3 grades of pistons for typical of what this engine had with those, it's probably too dark under there to show those numbers, but those overbore numbers, and they had 3 grades of bearings, same thing for the cranks and rods, and that's why I measure everything, especially on a Ford engine. Ford was notorious to do that because it saved them a bucket load of money to not scrap these blocks if they just had to bore them another few thousandths. And so that's just the way they manufactured their stuff, and it was all good, you know. I mean, the engines would last for a long time, and usually by the time they were worn out and needed rebuilding, it didn't matter anyway because you're reboring anyway. This motor just happens to not be, it was stuck. It wasn't worn out, it was stuck from sitting parked for 43 years. And so, you know, some of you that may not have watched the videos on this car from the beginning, yes, this car was parked since '76. Little detail item I got here. I traded the air conditioning unit on this car. I mailed it off to him, I don't know, last Thursday or Friday. And one of the things he has that he sent me is a new air cleaner lid, one that isn't all beat up around here. So I'm not going to, I just set this on there just to kind of give you the idea of what it would look like. But this will be all a better lid, and it'll be Ford blue. And paint, I figured I'd paint the air cleaner all at the same. I was going to paint it and just got into other things and just didn't get time. So eventually. New connecting rod bolts. A couple of them, when I took them off, there was like hairs of threads that came off with the nut. And that's one thing you don't want to fool around with is, you know, if one of those strips off, you blow a rod. And I'm not going to take a chance with losing a rod, so I just ordered a whole new set of rod bolts for the whole engine. So that will be going in too. And I did in my last video, I think I told you about the other things, but yeah, we're loaded down with parts: carb kits, oil pumps, timing chains, vacuum modulator, heater core, and the exhaust pipe being out on the floor here. I took it out. You know, it was a bit of horsing around. I had to take the parking brake cables off, but it's not in bad shape, but I'm not going to reuse it. I was going to put it back on the car just to run it, to back the car in and out and move it around until I could get it to a muffler shop to get a new exhaust put on it. Well, I talked to the muffler shop, and the price they wanted was like, wow. They wanted like close to $700 put an exhaust system on it, you know, all stock and whatnot. So I ordered one on the internet, an aluminized exhaust, dual exhaust from the manifolds to the tip of the tailpipe. So that should be here in the next 10 days or so too. That way when I get this puppy up and running, I can hear it. Not just a bunch of loud exhaust, you know, overrunning mechanical noise. I want to hear what the innards of that sounds like when I get it running. So that's another reason why. And then, you know, once that's running and drivable, mechanically, when the engine goes back in, mechanically I'm going to have the car done. Before the engine goes in, still got to tackle the steering gear. I got to get the brakes, tackle the brakes, and clean all this stuff up, repair this hole, and detail all this nicely. And that'll probably take me a few weeks. And then I can put the engine and transmission back in, and the car will be totally drivable. And then I can, when I start doing the body work, I'm not going to want to paint after I've been sanding in here and grinding and working and whatnot. So on a regular basis, I like to just take everything out of the garage and clean out the garage, you know, keep the dust level to a minimum. And so keeping things clean and tidy is the key to that. Sitting here fooling around one day and I noticed some numbers on the fenders. So if those are part numbers or date codes, let me know. And I don't know, I didn't look on the other fender to see if there's any numbers. Yeah, there is. There's a number there. And a number there. Just thought I'd show that. Just thought it was interesting that there's even numbers on the fenders. Everything I've worked on this car seems to have a date code on it somewhere. And it's all the date codes are within 2 or 3 days of one another too. I received the title finally in the mail for the car, so the car is 100% officially mine. So now I can get it insured and get the 66 plates I got for it registered to it, and it'll be totally road legal. I mean, it's, you know, it's an investment. It's got value, so I like to, if something happened to it while I'm restoring it, yeah, I want to be able to recover some money. So I am going to probably insure it next week. Again, this video is just on parts chasing. As I say, it's part of the fun of working on an old car, is chasing around after parts and whatnot. So if you want to see this car back up and running, resurrected, and new paint and everything, subscribe to my channel. If you like the video, hit the like button, and thank you for watching.